You are listening to The Evolved Masculine. Whether you are wanting more and better sex, more confidence, healthier relationships, or a greater understanding of and deeper connection to your masculinity, this is the podcast for you. I am your host, Destin Garrick. Welcome, everyone. This is Destin Garrick, and this is the Evolved Masculine podcast. So, how are you all doing? I shared a couple days ago on my own Facebook timeline that this whole thing has actually hit me harder than I expected. It's more like it's affected me more fully. There's this part of me that's like, I'm a leader. I've got this. I'm strong. I'm solid. Like, whatever. Throw whatever at me, and like I can handle it. And it's true, but at least in my own experience, it doesn't mean that I don't feel it. What I've learned about my own journey so far is that when big things happen, I feel them, and I feel them intensely. And often I need to go through my felt sense emotional process, take it all in. I also have a tendency during that time to kind of consume a lot of information, speak to a number of people, read everything I can, and just kind of churn it through my system to make sense of it, to feel it all. And from there, come to a place of deeper clarity. From there, come to my place of, okay, now I have something valuable to lead from, and not simply just, oh, something happening, let me react and just say something because, well, it's expected and that's what other people are doing and what have you. And this to me is part of my own journey, my own evolution of being less reactive and more of knowing myself, knowing how I function and operate, and how I can truly be of deepest service and not just be in a state of reaction. So I want to share with you something that I've been thinking about for the past few days that will be entertaining and will likely give you a different perspective, a different way of seeing and understanding this whole crisis that we're in the midst of. I expect you've never heard anything quite like this before. So for any of you who have been following me or have known me for any period of time, you know that from the ages of somewhere around 28 years old to 35 years old was my Erotic Rockstar chapter, the 7-year journey in my life where I was self-identified, self-described as the Erotic Rockstar, and living an extremely wild, over-the-top, decadent life and lifestyle. A life in which I felt unstoppable. I felt invincible. I felt that I could do anything, make anything happen. I was on top of my game, living my best life, etc., etc. And on one hand, it was absolutely incredible. And you also notice that I speak of this as past tense. Emily, don't you worry, I'm going to tie this all in. About 6 years ago, I'm turning 42 next month, so I'm almost as far out of that journey now as I was in it. And through hindsight, through being able to see in my rearview mirror, there's a lot of things I can see much more clearly now than I could see at the time when I was in it and going through an erotic rock lifestyle. A lifestyle in which my life was filled with incredible, extraordinary sexual adventures all over the world with incredible, extraordinary women, and many other wonderful things, but that's usually the part that gets people's attention. But I started to have this, I don't know, yearning inside of me, this feeling of, despite how my life may look to many people outside, um, there's this feeling that there's something else that's being yearned for at this point. That it is time to move on, to evolve into a new way of being or living in this world. That there was something more that was possible, um, beyond even what seemed so incredible with all of my excesses. Um, but that's not exactly a very easy thing to let go of. Even once there's that intellectual understanding of that something needs to change, it's still a hard thing to let go of. Well, I believe that the world, the universe, has a way of creating change. Whether, like, it'll whisper in your ear, and if you're listening, if you're attuned and listening and flexible and willing, you can make that shift easily, seamlessly, wonderful. And in many ways, I'm very good at that throughout my life. But I certainly wasn't good at that when it came to letting go of the extravagance of the erotic rockstar. And so, if the whisper doesn't work, it's a little like tickle. If the tickle doesn't work, there's like a slap, slap, a slap, a slap you across the head with a 2x4, a dropping an anvil on your head if necessary, or stricken you with cancer, or if necessary, even death. Like, one way or the other, this extraordinary intelligence that seems to be animating all that is going to uh, is going to awaken change in you. So it seems I took 5, 6 different uh, experiences like this in order to get me to let this go. Cherie says, if I'm saying your name right, 100% resonates with me. Great to have you here, and good to hear your words. Any one of these 5 or 6 things, we'll see how many they are, and you can keep track, should have been, would have been enough for many people. And I guess it took that much to get me to let go of something that was so embedded into my identity and really so incredible on so many levels. First, I'm probably going to get this order wrong. I found myself in what was initially what became a toxic relationship, and then ultimately really an abusive relationship. Here, I had to take notes on this, so give me a moment. That, in the midst of her getting physically violent with me, I broke off the relationship. And sometime after that, I went on a pilgrimage to India for the Kumbh Mela. This is the largest spiritual gathering on the planet. It's actually the largest human gathering on the planet. This is the Maha Kumbh Mela. So this is over 100 million people. So the great Kumbh Mela. So this happens once every 144 years. And that was in 2012. So 13, one of them. And I went, lots of openings, but I also got a very strong experience or reminder that all spiritual journeys are not necessarily all light and love. First, I got hit with an upper respiratory infection. Kind of interesting and emblematic with our current time period. It was intense. I felt like I was dying. And meanwhile, I'm sitting beneath an open canopy tent, meaning there's like a canopy like this, and then the other sides are open. There's no flooring. There's just like the dirt and grass underneath, and a cot. And it's rainy, and I have an upper respiratory infection. I'm shivering and not knowing if I'm going to get through this. I had to get through this. And that was about 2 weeks. And then I finally get better. I start to move through India. I'm like, yes, everything's good. I get to southern India, into Goa, and I get giardia, Giardia's intestinal parasite that includes a lot of flushing out through the back end. So first, everything came out this way, then everything came out this way, and that lasted almost 2 weeks. So my month in India was sickness, was purging, was releasing of, you tell me, so much of what I was thinking of myself as, old belief systems, energetic patterns. Who knows? We'll see. So I got back and I got right back into that same abusive relationship because I'm smart like that. And it gets better because I fully impregnated her. Told you I was smart. When we found out, I experienced joy in my system that I had never felt before. Then she aborted it. Absolutely crushing for me. I did everything I could to support her through it, and it was absolutely crushing for me. In retrospect, I'm grateful, but another major trauma in my system. Months later, the relationship ended horrifically, painfully. Shocker. How many are we up to so far? My mom got diagnosed with leukemia. 6 months later, she was dead. And in the midst of that time frame, I got stage 3 adrenal exhaustion. Stage 4 is organ failure, which caused me to be bedridden for a month straight, multiple times. And it took me 3 years to really recover. But truthfully, I was never the same again. All of that was within a 1.5 year period. All that in a 1.5 year period. So, by the end of that, the Erotic Rockstar, he was gone. I genuinely thought of him as having died. What was just, it no longer was. The Erotic Rockstar took a lot of energy. I didn't have that energy. Especially with the adrenal exhaustion, I couldn't hold myself up. I couldn't sustain a 5-minute conversation without needing to lay down. The Erotic Rockstar, while he was in many ways initially extremely liberating for me as I discovered parts of myself I never knew before, found ways of expressing that I previously would have thought would have been impossible for me. On one level, was also a mask. It took a lot of energy to uphold these certain aspects of myself that I thought were okay to be within this identity, and all the parts that I kind of held back because they didn't fit that way that I wanted to think of myself as, or the way in which I wanted other people to see me. But in that time, with this utter adrenal exhaustion, complete inability to friggin' move, I could not hold up any mask. I couldn't hold up any sort of persona. I couldn't do anything. And again, it was painful. It was so difficult. It felt like a death. And it was a certain ego death. And it was such a gift. Because ultimately, from that newfound nothingness, there was space. And from that space, there was a rebirth. As I started to come out of it, I had an opportunity to recreate again. Okay, so if I'm no longer the Erotic Rockstar, what the hell is next? How the hell do I beat that? And I started using the same technology, so to speak, that I used to reinvent myself into the Erotic Rockstar in the first place, and crafted this vision of the evolved masculine. This vision that took the best of everything that I learned during my Erotic Rockstar years, along with the wisdoms, what have you, that I could really only see and understand through hindsight, and create a new model of the man that I wanted to be moving forward, and a model that was rooted not just in myself, but really deeply in service to others and other men who are themselves seeking a better way of being. What does this have to do with this place that we find ourselves in right now? Quite simply, I think of these erotic rockstar years as this era that we've been in America particularly, but to a lesser degree globally, with American-style capitalism, consumerism, profit before people, the endless wars, the me first, American exceptionalism, the we've been living an extravagant life, and just more, let's just guzzle it down and do more and have more and feel more and fuck the consequences, because we're living our best lives now and more and and just it's been increasingly obvious to many of us for quite some time that we've been living in an unsustainable way. And our institutions started to have cracks in them left and right, that if you're paying any degree of attention, you start to notice that more and more things just didn't seem to quite be fitting, quite working the way that maybe they used to, or maybe they never quite were, I don't know. But something has been needing to change. And there's something new, there's new ways of being, new ways of seeing the world that are popping up and spreading, and more people are waking up to, recognizing the things that have been wrong with the paradigm that we've been holding, the ways in which so many people have been suffering, and yet we've tried to just keep pushing on because, hey, it's working for some people, and those people are the ones making the big decisions, so let's just keep going. But there's clearly a new world, a new consciousness, a new way of being and relating to ourselves and one another that has been wanting to emerge and has been starting to emerge. And at the same time, there's been resistance to the real change that's necessary. Another way of looking at it is our ecological collapse. We know, we've been talking about climate change as long as I've been alive, and I'm turning 42 next month. And the changes have been so slow. We've been so resistant to really doing what's necessary to create those changes. So we've had all the signs, and yet we've been resistant. And so, first, we get Trump. The first big slap across the face that, unless you love him, which some of you may, then you probably don't. And that might be an understatement. That it also likely came as the same level of a shock that this pandemic is. This shock that there's this idea as to what the world is and how it works and what's happening, and then all of a sudden, whoa, did not see that coming. How the hell did we let this happen? And everything seemed like it was changing so quickly, and so much of it seemed so bad, but then there seemed to be this really strong positive response occurring at the same time, and it's all still very much in process, and it's hard to tell what's going on, and are we going to get out of this alive, and is this really bad, or is there good coming from this, or I don't even know. And well, we're still in this resistance to doing what's necessary to create the real change that's needed. So bam, pandemic. All of a sudden, we go from, okay, so we've been adjusting to this new reality of Trump as the quote leader of the free world, and now here we are again. In a very short period of time, all of a sudden, the world as we knew it is not functioning the way we've always known it. And still, there's resistances, there's denial. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe, these models are incorrect, and we can just get back to things as they were. Or, you know what? This is going to pass, and then we're going to be able to get back to normal. We're not going to get back to normal. if by normal you mean the way things were before, in the same way that we're not going to get back to normal the way things were before Trump. These are paradigm shifting events. They came about in order to shift paradigms. And the truth of the matter is, if we don't learn what we're to learn from this crisis moment, then there's simply going to be another one. Period. Likely bigger, even more world-changing. And it's simply going to keep happening until we make the significant pivots that will be necessary to make. And it's scary, and it's painful, and it's uncomfortable, and it lasts longer than we want. And it can feel like, fuck, is this ever going to end? I just want to feel safe and secure. I want to know who I am, and everything feels like it's in flux. Again, I experienced all of this during that, I don't know, 1.5 to 3 year period where everything had fallen apart. These are times of dark nights of the soul, and we're experiencing it on a collective level. Dark nights of the soul have incredible opportunity in them. Incredible opportunity in them. And it's simply a question of, when will we seize that opportunity? Individually and collectively. Personally, I believe it's going to happen one way or the other. I do not believe that the world is going to hell in the handbasket. When I was in my 20s, I very much believed that. I don't believe that anymore, and I haven't for over a decade. I would not be surprised if this pandemic is not. That's going to be difficult grammar. There's a good chance that this pandemic is not the last of the major crises that we're going to be experiencing in a relatively short period of time. Of course, I would love for that to be true. And we are experiencing some form of waking up from this. I doubt it's enough. I hope that I'm wrong. I absolutely hope that I'm wrong. But honestly, if it took me all of those experiences just to fucking break me out of my Erotic Rockstar chapter, I mean, the hypnosis, illusions, delusions, what have you, that we've been holding collectively, globally for so long and so deeply, it's going to take a lot. But more and more of us are waking up to it. And we have been for a long time, and I believe that it's speeding up. The number of people who are waking up to, oh shit, like, this system is fucked. But there needs to be, just waking up to the system is fucked is not enough, because that just tends to lead to apathy, depression. And don't get me wrong, I am familiar with depression. I've experienced depression a number of times in my life. Not a long time, to be honest. But it definitely shaped my life. But combined with this system is fucked. But we also need to wake up to and see, and we can create something better. And by we, it can't just be like waiting for others, the them, like they are causing the problems, or is it the them to fix it? Who will? And really, I mean, the work that I do has been rooted in transformation for a decade-ish. And so much of what I do with the people that I work with is help them really get in touch with and really own the rights and responsibilities that come with the true capacities that we have to create who we are in our world around us, and this, well, it's been a lot of starting with like really owning it within yourself, within your own life, and how you are showing up in your life. But it also needs to extend from there more outward. All right, as you own yourself as a creator, as you own your true power, as you own your true power, what are you going to do with it beyond the self-centered aims? Because if you truly have that limitless capacity, that limitless potential, that true ability to create in this world, then you've got to be part of the solution. To really own, like, okay, so what do you really care about? What does really rile you up? And what and how are you going to direct the time that you have left on this planet? Which, if, again, crises give us strong reminders that you don't know how long that is. How are you going to use this time that you do have left on this planet to be an active part of the solution? Not just for you, not just in your individual life, hope maybe not even just for the people directly in your life, though that's a great start. But more and more of us are coming together, are linking up. These are the wonderful powers of the internet. They've really helped in this regards as well. And finding one another and finding our ways to help wake each other up, to come together, to imagine and view and see new possibilities, and starting to create them. And so I want to hear from you around what you want to create, how you want to be a part of the solution, whether it is part of the tearing down of what's been or the creation of what's new. I think both are an important part of this puzzle. To be honest, I think the tearing down of what's been it doesn't even need our help. It's fucking happening. It's happening. So I do put my primary focus on the creation. That's why I created the Evolved Masculine. Because I didn't want to just put the attention on what we need to tear down in, what's been like wrong in male culture, but bring my attention anyway on creating a new culture, on helping men really deepen their understanding of themselves, what's really going on, why they are, what are the aspects of this programming that we've received that are actually supporting us, serving us, and the people in our lives, and what's actually really getting in the way of any of us really being happy and fulfilled. Deepen our understanding of our sexuality, deepen our understanding of women and the feminine externally as well as internally. And from there, help solve these things that have gone really awry amongst men, in male culture, some of which for a really fucking long time. And change is happening there as well. And again, it's been slower than I would like, but I've dedicated my life, however long that is. If I am blessed to live to old age, okay, maybe I'm halfway there. That would put me at 84. Maybe with where we're going, it ends up being more like 120. Maybe with where we're going, it's 42. I don't know. But however long it is, I know like how I get to direct my life, what I'm creating, what I'm using this life force energy to help be a solution for. And so, what are you doing amidst this crisis, amongst these series of crises? How can you use your life force energy? What are you going, as Mary Oliver, great poet, says, what are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? Yes, enjoy this life and, help create a better world. We all know that this could be better. We're getting signs all around us, and every time I see somebody post or read an article about like um, the damage to the economic system, and we just need to um, like end this quarantining because uh, we need to make sure that the economy doesn't get hurt too much, or even the bailing out of all these different industries, and just like this is the problem. And I speak of we're resisting the change that wants to happen. Embrace the change that wants to happen, even if you don't see or understand where it is going quite yet. What was is ending. There's beauty in that. There's beauty in that. Turn towards what's coming. And I promise you, you'll experience joy and beauty and expansion that was simply not available to you in the way things were in the past. Again, bring this back to the analogies I see it in my own life. Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of things I was experiencing in my erotic rockstar years that are not part of my life today, that some part of me sometimes misses. But oh my God. Oh my God. The joys, the beauty, the bliss, the fulfillment that I know now was not available to me at that time. The fulfillment that I have having a family, having an incredible wife who loves me, sees me, accepts me, supports me so fully, so deeply. The having a child and a second child on the way, having a little family that's mine and that I'm theirs. Of all the things that I've done and create, I mean, that's easily the most fulfilling, often the most challenging, but always the most fulfilling. And then, of course, what I've been able to build with my little empire, with bringing the evolved masculine as an idea, as a company, as a movement out into the world, and serving literally, thousands of men all over the planet. All over the planet. I get messages from, not even messages. I've done Zoom calls and, video deep dive sessions and coaching with men in Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, India, South Africa, Iceland, Chile. I mean, name a place on this planet, and I've probably worked with a man there. Holy fuck, it's humbling. It's amazing. And again, things that when I was just like in my wild, decadent, like using my erotic rockstar years as my laboratory to figure all this out through my own life experience, I was having that experience just within myself. Now I get this experience of really having that deep service and impact to so many people all over the world. Incredibly fulfilling. Again, joys and fulfillment that I didn't see when all I could see was my world as I knew it ending. So that's what I know is very possible now. I do believe the world as we know it is ending. I doubt that this pandemic is the last straw. I would love for it to be. I doubt it. So instead, I prepare for myself, prepare for my family, prepare for my community as best as I can, including doing this. And part of that preparation is honing your optimism, like realism, but optimism. Hopefully you see that and feel it within myself. I've got a certain realism of seeing things as clearly as I can, but also an optimism, a belief that, you know what, every experience that I've had, both with my clients and certainly in my own life, show me that dark nights of the soul, which I see as what's happening collectively always have the potential to open up into best evers. And that when things come crashing down, it's for something new to emerge. A big part of my background is in Tantra, and while I don't really speak of myself as teaching Tantra these days, A, I once did, but B, it's more, I'm still extremely heavily influenced by Tantric philosophy. It's a core part of my own spirituality and ways in which I came to look at and understand things in the world. And Kali, for those of you who are familiar with Kali, and Bria, I see you there, hi. Somehow I would guess you have some familiarity with Kali. She's this goddess within Hindu and Tantric mythology, who's she's the slayer of egos. She's pictured with the tongue out, like sword in hand, a string of men's heads on a necklace, often like standing on the body of Shiva, and it can be extremely dark appearing visual, and some people like see that as if it's like evil, but it's not. The deeper the mythology is around how it's the destruction of ego. It is the destruction of everything that must be killed off or die off in order for that which is true, that which is real, to come forth. Or Shiva, also from the same lineage, is the destroyer. The destruction is itself a creative act. That the only way for the new creation to emerge is for what was to fall away. A lot is falling away. A lot is falling away. I don't know the timetables. I don't know the timetables that we're dealing with. But I also have a child and another child on the way. And it's very clear they're going to grow into a very different world than the one that I knew. And I tend to believe that that world will have a lot of beauty in it. And likely challenges that we don't currently have. Aspects of darkness that would frighten us. And yet they'll normalize in the same way that we have normalized so much of the darkness that we have always known. Life evolves. Life changes. We all grow. We'll get through this. We're in this together. I'm here for you to the best of my ability. Just know that I'm working on some things with my team behind the scenes to see like what I can do with the various systems and structures that I built to just kind of restructure things for this time, really, so that I can be of greater service to more folks in a way that will work more for you all. I know that there are challenges that you're likely dealing with, facing. I am as well. Allow yourself to feel them. It's okay to feel pain, sad, freaked out, upset, scared, depressed, any and all of those things. And I also invite you to lean into the things that will give you a fighting chance, so to speak, to get out of that state. So when we experience intense emotion, good or bad, like we can wallow in those feelings and experiences. We can also allow ourselves to feel it fully and deeply, and allow it to move through us. Again, then opening space for something else. And so do things that are good for you. I've um, I fell into some bad habits over the past couple of weeks. It's the first. Uh, from when I'm recording this, I'm on day 12 of our self quarantining, and I've been extra cautious given that I've got a pregnant wife here. But so I have to allow space for, okay, I fell into some bad habits in the first 12 days of quarantining. Okay, that's all right. Beating myself up over that does not help anything either. It's just like, oh, and then I noticed. I then like my I became conscious of the habits and came into my sourced energy enough to be like, okay, I know what habits actually work better for me, help put me into a better state, and I know which habits don't. Let me look at each one. Let me do an assessment. And I invite you to do an assessment of your life. Like, what are the things that you're doing that are adding to the feeling of depression, fear, loneliness, heavy energy, overwhelmed energy? For me, it was a lot of overwhelmed energy. As my habits, one of the habits I can fall into when I go unconscious is I just keep adding more and more and more and more onto my calendar until is like a ridiculous amount of shit that I'm getting done each day to be productive, to make things happen, to serve others, etc. And next thing I know, like I'm burning myself out. So I'm aware of this habit within myself at this point, and if I go unconscious, I find myself doing that. If I find myself in a place of weakness, I find myself going into that. Okay, now that I'm more on it, aware, what are the steps that I need to take to change that? To space out my calendar more. So first, take stock of what are the different things that you do that feed the negativity in your system. For me, again, there's that overwhelmed system and the over calendaring. There was checking the news / looking for the various coronavirus related articles and news and posts on social media near constantly. There's I was drinking a ton of coffee because I was so overloaded. I had so much to do and I didn't have the energy to do it all. Oh, let me just hop up on more caffeine. I wasn't sleeping very well. Again, the various forms of overwhelm, the various stresses, I just wasn't, I wasn't sleeping. And I wasn't exercising, cooped in. I couldn't go to the gym anymore. And so I wasn't really doing much. I wonder why I wasn't feeling so good. If somebody told me that they were doing all of those things, I would expect that they wouldn't be in tip-top shape. So when I came to that level of consciousness and awareness, I made changes in each of those areas that I spoke of. I created rules for myself around the news. Like I limit myself now to twice a day to, checking my various news sites. I gave up caffeine and I started taking qualia, which by the Neurohacker Collective, some friends and incredible folks I know down here in the San Diego area create. I think it's qualia, QUALIA.com. That creates a lot of that awake alertness, but with nootropics and things that are really good for your brain and your body. I'm like, all right, well, let me play with this now instead. And also order some coffee substitutes so that I don't just find myself doing the quality thing all the time either. I slept for 9 hours 2 nights ago and 8 hours last night. Whew! Have I needed that? So I created spaces in my day to just be with my family, which is both good for them and good for me, always fulfilling. And I created blocks in my day to make sure that I do movement and exercise. So I went through first pulling out and identifying what are each of the things that are part of my life right now. If I look at my day, uh, the Toltecs speak of this as like stalking your life. So like stalking, like paying that absolute attention to every little piece of your day and how you're utilizing your energy. And you can notice, you can take a piece of paper or 2 different documents, what have you, and make a list like what's really draining you of energy or adding to this feeling of negativity, and what's actually fulfilling you, what's sourcing you of energy, what's giving you a feeling of deeper community and deeper connection, what are you paying attention to that's creating greater optimism within you, or giving you more of a feeling of growth and positive evolution in your life. Hopefully I can be part of that. Check out more of the Evolved Masculine podcast on your wherever you like to listen to your podcast through. There's what are the things that just have you feel on top of your game? Start to plug those energetic drains, and how can you add more of those energetic sources into your life? Pay attention to those 2 things, make changes in those 2 things, and watch how different you start to experience life. How different you start to show up in this time of this pandemic and crisis. So, I want to close this out for today. Send me a message. Let me know like how you are doing. Let me know like what you are doing to take care of yourself, to build community, to source yourself, what resources you found that really fulfill you and give you a sense of hope and optimism, what actions you are taking to better yourself and to be a part of the solution, not just around this pandemic, but the many things in this world that are seeking greater solutions. What is your sense of purpose and mission? Let me know. I like hearing about these things. I like sharing it with the other folks in the community as well. You can, if you are on this Facebook Live, you can comment here. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. You can or send me a message, destin@evolvedmasculine.com. And again, check out the last week's podcast. I did a different perspective and deep dive into the state of this COVID-19 crisis. And if you haven't, please do listen to that as well. Please rate these, subscribe, share. All those things are really wonderful. They help me feel encouraged to keep doing this. They are an energetic source for me. So, and they help more people find out about this different aspects of this work, find out about the Evolved Masculine. Of course, if you haven't already, this is a really great time to read a book. Remember doing that, reading books. The Evolved Masculine, Be the Man the World Needs and the One She Craves, available on Amazon, BarnesNoble.com, everywhere books are sold, but don't go to a bookstore right now. And let me know your thoughts on that. Not only is it a good time to read, it's a really good time to read things that give you a deeper sense of yourself and inspire you and add to your own growth and evolution. I do believe that this book will be that for you. All right. I appreciate you all. I love you all. I'm doing the best I can to show up for you. If there's something more that you need or would like, let me know. We're in this together, and together we rise. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the Evolved Masculine podcast. If you liked what you heard, please be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a comment to help other men discover this show and help the Evolved Masculine movement spread. It really does help. I want you to do more than simply consume content, but rather to embody a new way of being and radically transform your life for the better. Join us in the Evolved Masculine membership community, a brotherhood of men who are committed to being the best men that we can be. Crystallize a vision of your most evolved masculine self and implement the tools to take him out of the idea realm and begin embodying him now. Reprogram your sexuality and deepen your understanding of women and the feminine. Learn more and join us at evolvedmasculine.com/membership. I believe in you.